Okay, so before I start, thank you for subscribing to my channel, and if you want more of this, please request and comment down below. If there's anything you want me to change in this origin story, let's just get into it. I'm gonna try this from the top of my lungs and make up as I go along because I struggle to think of a full clear story. But how I'm gonna tell this origin of this Genshin Impact OC, which thankfully for my fans came up with the name Glazer, which sounds more unique for an ice-based another ice-based Claymore user slash shield user, and hopefully you enjoy. So I'm gonna tell the story between the perspective of my character, or how he tells Noel his past. So let's begin, shall we? Wait, hang on first. I gotta extend this video because it's might get longer. And let's just begin. So it all starts when after they are at a campsite, since it got late, and Noel got curious and asked Glazer if she can get to know where it came from or about his folks. Okay. Glazer looked down with a little sad look on his face as he clenched his right arm, glassy or icy arm. He sighed for a bit. He looked up at her and said, "Have you ever been to a continent where it's all snowy and cold? People call it the Arctic or something similar." She said no, but she's heard of it before. Well, he said, "Well, I am from there. In fact, that's the only home I ever knew. Besides," he looked down hesitantly as he wasn't sure how to tell his story, since a lot of it is a little dark, even for someone as sweet as her. But he tells her, let's just say this, his original parents never wanted him. That's what he knows about his original family, because all he knows was there was one creature that raised him from a kin. He remembers what she told him, that one day in the vast snowy outskirts were those creatures that hunt in the snow. That how do I word this? This is what's mind-boggling to me here. Basically, let's say this. I'm just gonna give you it straight out without telling it in a story form. This boy was abandoned by his parents at a young age, left to die. His parents did not want him, nor had the money or resources to raise him. So they thought the best idea was to abandon him in the snowy outskirts where no one could find him. At the same time, he was almost babyish, or at least very young. Surprisingly, he survived long enough for, well, something unique to find him. As he was crying for his family, no one came, as two creatures of the ice started emerging, ready to feast. But before they could reach the child, something unbelievable found him. As before one of the creatures was about to consume him, a giant ashy sword slashed down on the pack as a giant ice female-like figure emerged from the snowy wintry weather. It picked up the child that was crying and started to walk away with it. A day later, what was thought to be a myth was actually one of the last of its kinds. This creature was known as an icy glacier giant. It's a giant composed of magic of the cryo, with self-aware feelings in mind. But over the years, these creatures have been slowly dying out, as their story has been forgotten. But this is the story of one who will remember them. This was the last of their kind, a female who looked at the child with motherly attention and worried, wondering why would anyone leave a helpless child to fend for themselves in this harsh and cold environment. What was unexpected was the creature, or the woman, decided to take the kid in and raise her as one of her own. This was when everything changed. Over the years, this creature has taken its time of its own lifespan to take care of something that isn't even part of their own species. This creature had such a kind heart, because it could have just left something that doesn't belong to die. But it shows how selfish, or not selfish, selfless these species were. She was willing to do what it takes to protect something that doesn't even have a connection to her. It shows how kind they are, willing to protect something that deserves protection. As I'm trying to state, she gave a lot to raise this poor, helpless child and grew a bond to the child. As soon as it reached teenage, it always told stories, taught the boy magic, and eventually the boy developed a vision, or some sort of vision, similar to the ice giant's power. But to survive, the ice giant had to fuse its DNA with the child, which caused a new breed, carrying on the legacy and the existence of these creatures through a hybridogenic DNA. This explains why Glazer looks partially less human than, well, now, due to the DNA spell she did on him, allowing him to survive the extremely harsh weather, changed his skin to pale, and converted his arm into an icy glacier arm, or like the woman's arm. He grew horned and his eyes changed, creating the creature you now see in this picture. Soon this creature had a deeper connection to the woman, and ever since he told what happened in his past, she told him how she found him just as a babe, left to die. He grew anger, but the woman told her, never let anger take you or change you, because vengeance is a strong thing, and if you let it take over, you might not be the same person. He also learned how to be grateful for everything, since considering the fact that he was hopeless at the time, but she never gave up on him. She always came in with food. She's always been so kind to the child. He felt grateful. Over the time, he developed this sense of responsibility. This is where it's getting a little messy, but I'm trying to decide what I want to do for this part. But over the time, he grew a strong determination to respect the people who really worked their asses off to provide for the innocent. I mean, this lady, he now consumes his mother, since she literally took him in and done so much for him. He should have felt grateful, because he learned how people treat other creatures. Ice slimes are considered monsters considering how they attack, but they never understood how they feel. He understands how the monsters feel. Not all monsters are evil. There are just some who prefer to attack, or maybe in the form of self-defense. He sees through the worlds of the creatures that humans attack. So he grows a sort of hatred to some of them, but he also sees the goodness in people like Noelle. Noelle shows countless kindness to people, always putting them instead of their own desires. Like, for example, Noelle was trying to take a break at one of the in-game activities called Hangout. We asked her to chill, but instead she decides to continuously help others, despite her own needs. Which is what I love about Noelle, which also shows why Glazer likes her a lot too, because she puts others before her own selfishness. Like, she could have just let them suffer or let them do their own thing, but she continually shows kindness and heart and shows how much she dedicates to helping others. Just like how the ice giant showed Glazer, which he shows gratitude to people like that. But over time, he showed seeing how harsh humanity can be. Humanity being ungrateful. Even though the monsters die, they usually take their drops or supplies or resources from those creatures, showing ungratefulness. He despises ungratefulness. Because because he just can't stand seeing how humans mistreat the world or take advantage of other people. This is what gets messy, so forgive me if this is not good enough. I'm just doing off what I could think of that sounds good as a backstory. So the glacier creature is now considered Glazer's mother, because basically she raised him as a kid. Over time, she's been going out of the safety of the cave for longer and longer, until one day she never came back for at least a month. This drove concern for Glazer to finally leave the safety of the cave to explore, to find her and see if she's okay. Over a month it took him, he finally found her, but the sadness was she was gone. She found her remains shattered on the land. The fact about glaciers, when they die, the bodies don't disappear. They become one with the land they die on, becoming parts of mountains or stuff. But this was what made him fall apart, as the one thing he considered to ever have as a family, a real family, is gone. But then there's the fact that made him angry and wanted to search and leave the Arctic. He learned that the glacier or glacier giant didn't die normally like the other giants of her species. She had damage marks on some of her body parts that were forming in the mountain, which clues hinted that someone killed her and took a very important part of the ice giant, its heart. The heart is a key to in their religion. The heart should always be buried in the snow, and it's also the heart is technically an icy crystal, a very, very rare resource considering how much of the species have died off, which could cost a lot of money or more, which sent rage through the child and sets him on a journey where his vengeance must be filled, where he must put his new mother at peace, because he did not like standing as some jackass took the heart of the kindest giant he's ever known as some trophy or money use, which sends him on a journey to search. As his journey begins, his journey is to avenge his mother and to find the jackass who stole her heart and put her mother at rest. Put his new mother at rest, which sends him to the docks of the population on the Arctic, which sends him to a ship he snuck aboard, which lands in Monstadt, and his journey begins there, hunting down the person responsible, and he will destroy anyone who gets in his way of vengeance and retribution. He will avenge her, but along the way he grows friendship and learns to love humans to an extent, and someone who made him feel happy again, which is Noel. And that's where our journey began. And that's all I got. Sorry if this origin's crappy. I was very struggling to make it good like any other origin story, but this was the best I could come up with. So if there's anything you could change, please comment down below, and I'll try my best to make a video series of this, depending on how much people dying for it or want it. I'll try to do a drawing feature, but like and subscribe, comment down below what you think, and I'll see what I can do. Soon, the next AOT episode's coming up, but I'm going to struggle with it because I need to do stuff. So, bye.